I've been enjoying Horimiya Missing Pieces quite a lot. It's just jumbled stories that the first season couldn't get to, mostly slice of life antics that allow the side cast more presence. That's basically speaking my language. And it was in episode 7 that as I was watching, I was reminded of one of my favorite parts of Horimiya. Not just because Sawada is getting more spotlight, which is great, since I've always found her dynamic with Miyamura to be quite unique from anyone else in the cast. Not just because of the well-timed musical cue, which starts the scene. Not just because of the content of the scene, again showcasing this side of Sawada, but also Miyamura playing up this sibling dynamic. It's not just those things are cool. But this is my favorite part of Horimiya. The static, snowy, bokeh-filled background, as if the characters are temporarily placed in an ethereal world belonging only to them, as if these bright lights allow them solace, respite, if even for a moment, that they can express what lies underneath, to themselves, to each other, surrounded by a world of glimmer. It is just them. And it's essentially just a background overlaid on the characters, but it's quite specific. It's not like the ones used here, or the ones used here, but it's one they use frequently for specific key moments. It's a look that from the very first episode of season 1 was striking. Hori and Miyamura have just learned of each other's secrets, and they're sharing a meal. Miyamura mentions that he bumped into Yuki, another of their classmates, and something wells within Hori's heart. It's striking. For a brief moment, we are given a glimpse to what Hori feels. We're shown just how impactful those words are. We're brought out of the setting for a moment to allow it to seep in. The background allows the moment to feel that much more striking, aesthetically and visually demarcating itself, and that enhances the poignancy of the characters being affected. The characters are being affected to such a degree that to them it doesn't feel as if they are there in the room with each other. But it's something so deep-seated that can only really be represented by bringing them into a separate world all to themselves. Later, as she speaks, we get a lingering shadow moving downwards. Hori is telling Miyamura how she doesn't want anyone else to see his secret, that she wants this version of Miyamura to herself. It's a selfish wish born from the feelings within her. And in this moment, even as they are in a room, in a home, where other people are, the background makes it so that these feelings can't be lost between them. We, as much as the characters, can only focus on that emotionality. We are stricken by the intensity of her feelings. We get Miyamura with the same effect. He is in this moment with her, stricken all the same. When the moment ends, we are taken out. We are brought back to the room because what's been said has been said. And Hori tries to deflect. The only one affected is those who were in that world. Sota doesn't mind at all, but Miyamura can't let it go. There's a pureness to the feelings communicated, an honesty allowed by the emphasis. Even the fact that this background is snow-like is representative of these emotions, lasting forever in a singular moment born from themselves, but inevitably having to melt away through the act of expression. Many of these key moments are cathartic, either in their own contemplation or through others. The background is so striking, emphasizing the emotions of the moment, but also reflective of the characters and how they are being stricken by these emotions too. The transitions in and out of them mark certain scenes, being so visually, aesthetically pleasing, but also relative to their interiority. It seems so nonchalant, but it carries an incredible weight, of an entirety in snowy sentiment. An entirety experienced within the confines of the characters. Showing it in this particular way makes it more tangible and special. And for me, it's also special that these moments are where the characters can be completely honest. Like in the last scene of episode 1, where Hori confronts Miyamura about if he thinks she's just being nice to him. And there's a little bit of drama of her being annoyed that he's more concerned about something as inane as reputation, and that he would ruin hers. Their shadows move backwards as Hori is retreating within herself. She feels a little helpless, and maybe betrayed that Miyamura admits outright that he did tell Toru that he thinks she's just being nice to him. They are isolated together, and his feelings are honest. But being honest, Miyamura refutes that very same idea. He pushes back. The shadows now move forward because of his assertion. Within the shadows, within that isolated world of an inferior snowy landscape, Miyamura says that he feels like he might be bothering Hori. It isn't until the end of Miyamura's rebuttal that the shadows converge, and they are brought back to reality. And it ends with him expressing uncertainty, contradicting what he has just said. Bringing them out of that world is representative of those feelings. Not that he's dishonest now, but that he really isn't sure how he actually feels. We get a sense of how he feels within that isolation, but he's torn on it, and so the scene takes place between the backgrounds. There's one part pure honesty, and another part uncertainty. This very specific usage of the backgrounds isolates the characters in a way that really draws them out. It allows an honesty in the scene. They have nowhere else to go. The show frames them, captures those emerging feelings, and lets the characters be as pure as they can be, oftentimes with each other. While I've mostly applied the isolation and honesty of the feelings and communication within the confines of the background as mostly serious, it's not always the case. Like in the new season, with Sakura and Yanagi, the background first isolates Sakura when she's given the last shonen or shinobi jump from Yanagi. This isolation allows her honest and pure feelings of happiness to show. Beyond everything else around her, at the bookstore, she is within her realm. She is truly in her happy place, but it's also an acknowledgement of a comrade. We sit there with her learning something new about the character, and it's a private moment that she takes on. This transitions directly after, with the two of them walking home together and the background isolates them. As they get to talk about their favorite manga, nothing else matters. They are, in this mutual understanding, able to connect and communicate freely. It is no surprise that when we disappear from that background, it's only because we start hearing and seeing the other kids gossiping about them. They disrupt that world, but they don't exist within that world. That moment where the background shifts belongs only to the characters who are sharing this genuine connection. It is Sakura and Yanagi connecting, genuine honesty between the two, their joy striking into their souls, a bond. A bond is what Miyamura and Sawada share in the second half of this episode. It happens multiple times, and it showcases both modes of this background. First, with Sawada opening up about her being bullied and being honest, Miyamura lets Sawada walk towards him for affirmation. He doesn't need her to admit it verbally, he can see it for himself. A function similar to the background, where we can see Sawada being isolated in a vulnerable place to express herself. She walks forward, and out of that isolated world, going from a place of complete honesty and genuinity to one where she has now exclaimed that. It's out of her system. And so the background disperses just as she's accepted the truth. And second, as Miyamura and Sawada walk home, with the evening glow beaming between the leaves of trees, leaving warmth over them, they discuss the issue more outwardly. Sawada accuses Miyamura that he doesn't understand what she's going through because he has friends. The music kicks in, and as Miyamura assures her that things will get better, she steps out towards the brighter half of the shot, indicating a sign of hope. We shift perspectives, and the sun is shining against them, but it shines brighter for Sawada, and then they envelop them in that background. The shot is beautiful enough as is, but what's important is that they get this genuine connection through, that Miyamura is able to express freely what he wants and to make sure that his words are not lost. He makes a joke about the situation, but it's exactly this kind of childish and innocent joke that gets through perfectly what Miyamura wants to say. It is his version of his honesty. We cut right into Sawada, still in that isolated world of pureness, and we know that his words have landed. It has stricken her, that childish honesty. those words of hope enveloped in the pain and in the forecoming happiness, it is all allowed to exist in this world of eternal snow. And that was the end of the video. Hopefully my ideas made some sense here. I know the script was a little loose, a little more freeform in that way. I was being a little bit more liberal with the scripting and structure, just because I wanted to make a less rigid script this time around. And it was really fun. I really just had a sudden idea for Horimiya and I kind of just went with it. But regardless, hopefully it was a fun watch and hopefully the ideas were interesting. I really do think the background usage of Horimiya, that specific background, is just so cool. And of course, if you want to support the channel, just watching or leaving a comment is great, but I do have a Patreon, it is there. Other than that, thank you again for watching, and I will see you again in the next one, hopefully much sooner than later. Yeah.